Welcome everyone to the 154th edition of the Nuthouse podcast brought to you by boxingsalem.com. I'm your host Andy Patterson. With me today I've got a light panel of Matty D, Adam Smith, Steve Wellens and Alex Morris. Now there's going to be, I would imagine, maybe a slight bit of gloating from Matty D because he was the only person on the panel last week to pick Daniel Jacobs to beat Peter Quillen. Now I was absolutely shocked, Matty, when I woke up this morning, checked BoxRec and seen that Peter Quillen had got stopped in the first round. Now you probably remember me saying last week I did think out the punchers and probably the better chin of the two. I did think that Quillen was probably the better. Jacobs, though, man, I don't know what it is with this guy. He just seems to keep proving people wrong. They now call him the Miracle Man for nothing I suppose. But give me your take on the fight.
I'd love to take a huge amount of credit and rub it in everyone's faces, and that'd be freaking wonderful. But I'm not going to because I think everybody was shocked that it ended so quickly. I think there was a few people that might have been thinking, an early night, but they were thinking an early night for Quillen, questioning Jacob's chin after the Pirog fight. But what they forgot is, I mean, it was kind of a game of who lands first, because underrating Jacobs as a puncher is a really, really bad idea because the guy can flat out bang. The first time that he caught Quillen crisp, he buzzed him. The fight might have been short; it was like a minute and a half long, but pretty much the entire fight, Quillen was buzzed. I thought initially Doc might have stopped it a little too quick, but if you get a chance to look at Quillen's eyes on the replay, he is, it's like the lights are on and no one's home kind of thing. He was going to be done and probably hurt badly, but hopefully Jacobs can move on to something better from this. He's at least the second. I think he's a better puncher than Lemieux personally. So I think he could be the second biggest puncher in the division. He's kind of a wild card right now. Everyone looks at GGG as the only thing that matters at middleweight, but Jacobs he has some skill and he's got a good punch. He stayed relaxed and calm while he was finishing. Quillen, he didn't throw anything too wide. He throwed many short punches, went to the body. Showed some real professional seasoning, and I'm excited to see where he can go from here.
Alex, I didn't get much chance to actually see many fights last night because of some personal issues, but I didn't have a right good chance to study the fight in any great detail apart from like maybe I saw the YouTube link of the actual stoppage. When looking at it again, you go back to some of the British stoppages and stuff like that. Why was the guy not given an 8 count or whatever it was? He was all over the place. It reminded me slightly of Amir Khan. He was against Danny Garcia. Should he have taken a knee, or is it time we get the standard 8 count brought back in, or was the stoppage okay? Because I think Quillen is now saying the stoppage was actually fine himself.
Yeah, this is what I tend to look at when you get these debatable stoppages. I mean, I thought it was a good stoppage, and then initially I put on Twitter this morning that I think he deserved an 8 count, but again, someone reminded me that this was New York, and they don't have the 8 counts, and it's for the Panamanian belt, and they don't have the 8 counts either. So I thought, well, fair enough then, because I figured that maybe the ref acted a bit hasty and they needed to examine him. But when you do examine him anyway, he's fucking gone. I think that he's just a couple more punches, and it's very dangerous territory there. So I think that there is a good shout for bringing the 8 count back, just as a precaution, really. It stops any ill feeling of this fight's been stopped a bit premature, and it lets refs be a bit more relaxed and knowing that they've got that in their arsenal to give a proper once over to a fighter. I picked Quillen last week because just pretty much the same reason most of us, I think, picked Quillen, that we thought that he was a bit tougher, that he was a bit, he had a bit of a chin on him, and he was a bit bigger than Jacobs, and Jacobs was obviously a bit, well, not a bit. I do think he's made of glass, and I think that it was a bit of a shootout, definitely. As Matty said, first one to land, and as it was, Jacobs landed, and he fucking obliterated him. And full credit to Jacobs. I don't want to seem like I'm trashing the guy, but he got him good. He caught him with some excellent shots, and he mixed up the shots well. He wasn't just being completely reckless with it. I thought that he finished him off very well. It does really open up the question of just how bad is the middleweight division at the moment. Again, that sounds like I'm shitting on Jacobs, but it just shows that we all thought that Quillen, well, not all of us, I suppose, but many of us thought that Quillen was probably one of the better guys in the middleweight division. And
What have I always called him, though, mate?
Well, fake chocolate, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of talk of him fighting GGG, and that's the test for Golovkin, apart from Canelo and Cotto and the rest of it, and that he's maybe the number 3 guy. And it just shows that Jacobs, who really came off of a very poor performance against Sergio Mora, comes in and just fucking destroys him in a round. And I think that somewhere, I think they made it on the Showtime broadcast that the comment that in beating Quillin is probably as good as Golovkin's now. And can you really argue against that?
Steve, can you argue against that, mate?
No, I don't think you can argue against that fighter for fighter. I think that's a fair enough statement. But the only way to
loss, obviously, but the loss of Jacobs, but.
Yeah, exactly. The only way to sort it out is in the ring, but it's one of those fights that's not going to be sorted out in the ring because of political issues. I think that both fighters, Quillin and Jacobs, were asked beforehand about the possibility of making the Golovkin fight, and they both said, well, if the TV networks can get together and organise something, then we'll make it. But that must have been a standard canned response that had been fed to them, because we all know that the TV networks get together to make Lewis Tyson, they get together to make Mayweather Pacquiao, they're not going to get together to make Jacobs Golovkin. So I mean, there's no point in really discussing that. But regarding the stoppage itself, I think me and you, Matty, were discussing Harvey Dock recently. He was involved in another fight, possibly, and I said I thought he was a good referee.
I don't know how recently that might have been, but I do think that Harvey Dock is one of the better up-and-comers.
Was it Broner against Alex Berdiev?
Yes, I think it was. Yeah. I think it was, and we agreed, Matty, me and you, that he. Yeah, he's a good referee, and to be honest, I'm still undecided on the stoppage even now, which goes to emphasises how difficult it must have been for the referee, because my first instinct when I saw it was, oh, that might have been a bit premature. Even though he did the funny dance, he seemed to be straightening himself back up again. And then one of the Showtime commentary team shouted out, that's a premature stoppage, which sort of reinforced my thinking. But watching it back again, Quillin seemed to be all over the place. He was dazed, he was looking off into the distance, but then Quillin always looks like that. He always looks a bit dazed and looking off in the distance, even when he's doing press conferences and interviews. I wonder how much his heart's in the game. He doesn't seem to me like he's enthused by boxing very much, and he's sort of take it or leave it kind of guy. He seemed like that after the draw with Andy Lee. He's all like, oh, well, it all happens for a reason, I'll just take it. And he doesn't seem too bothered, and I think that's just going to sum up his career, really. Maybe this defeat was waiting to happen, the fact that he struggled with the weights. I just don't think he's that dedicated. But as for Jacobs, going back to Alex's original point, I mean, it's a strange thing to say, because I put Golovkin on such a high pedestal and I wouldn't put Jacobs anywhere near him. Resume for resume, has Golovkin got much better than Jacobs at the moment? I would say probably not. So fair play to Jacobs. I picked Quillin to win, but I thought that if a stoppage was coming, it would be late. I thought it'd be tentative of each other's power, but he went in and he got the job done, and I just have to give him respect for that.
Well, listen, let's ask one of the big Golovkin fanboys, Adam. Has Daniel Golovkin got a resume that's on similar paths?
I saw that question posed earlier today. It's a good question, but no, I think still Golovkin would be up there resume-wise, and obviously we would all pick Golovkin to beat Jacobs. But I mean, going back to the stoppage, I thought it was crying out for an 8 count. I don't know. I never know what rules or what organisation they're following, but it was crying out for an 8 count, that was. And it gave me flashbacks, really, of when Ian John Lewis, our very own, kind of stepped in between. I think it was Rocky Fielding and Brian Vera. And once you've stood there for 2 or 3 seconds, the decision's already been made. The referee was standing, parallel to Quillin. He'd stopped the action, and he'd stopped Jacobs putting the finishing touches on, and the decision, unfortunately, has already been made. I'm like Steve. I have watched the replay a couple of times, but I'm still undecided. And it just shows, how difficult it really is. I think Quillin was obviously badly hurt, but apparently this is for world honours, and it's in the first round. He probably needed another opportunity to survive. I mean, Quillin certainly, when he was under the barrage of punches, certainly was defending himself in that he had his hands up. He did try firing back a couple of times with little success. So I think he deserved more time, to be honest with you.
The argument you could make is that he did seem to use the ropes to try to steady himself on one of his stumbles. So I think Doc might have missed that because he was looking and that when he was staggering over pretty quick. But I think you could have made an argument that the ropes held him up and issued an 8 based on that, which is fine throughout all boxing commissions as I know.
I think it's a screen move for a rematch. Anyone?
If they make money, it seemed like they did okay. It seemed like a decent crowd at the Barclays.
If they want to continue working with the Protected Boxing Champions Network, the PBC, that's what it is. It's the Protected Boxing Champions.
Yeah. Great, man.
It fucking is. But the thing is, I remember Bunce writing an article was a week or two ago saying the prize for the winner for these two is Golovkin. Golovkin's not a fucking prize for any of these two. Golovkin's fucking hell on earth.
The prize for the winner is Chris Eubank Jr.
Yeah, that's who they're going to be fighting next. They're mandatory, isn't it? As long as old Chris gets past Spike next week. But
I'm going to ask a serious question, though. Sorry, Mike, I'll bring in the new, but I want to ask a serious question.
Hold on, real quick. Showtime has next week. They're showing Saunders against Andy Lee. I think there's a potential that they're trying to set up a unification with that. There's a reason that Showtime is buying that fight.
Makes sense, yeah.
I want Andy Lee to win for the pure fact that he will fight, preferably Golovkin, but he will fight other champions. If Billy Joe and Frank Warren were to get hold of it, I think they'll try and take it hostage.
But he's so mediocre. Like even Andy Lee is indifferent to being Andy Lee.
I agree with what I know what you're saying, but yeah, I agree with what Adam says. At least, whether he's mediocre or not, at least the belt will be sort of moving. Lee will be pushed to fighting. He will go and fight, and the belt will be taken off him if necessary. But at least the belt will be travelling. If Billy Joe Saunders gets hold of it, that belt is going to be taken hostage. Boy, you're going to see Jared Fletcher brought back over for a rematch.
Yeah.
You're going to see Eubank back in. Yeah, well, obviously not because he's matchroom now, but that nothing is going to happen.
Who do you think?
Saunders he's fought fine opposition. I'm considering.
He has.
I don't think he's gonna scoff away from anything. And I think if we seen anything from Fury that rings true culturally, is those traveling folk. They're a prideful people. I don't think Saunders is gonna hide under a rock.
No, not at all. Not at all, Matty. That's not what I'm insinuating. I'm not saying he's going to hide from anybody, but past form shows that Frank will protect the belt. He will get Saunders, hopefully, well paid, but there's going to be a couple of soft ones, and I could see it being held stagnant for a year or so, is what I'm saying. I'm not questioning Saunders' heart. He has a very good last 5 or 6 fights.
Who do you think will pay more money for the belt, Heyman or HBO?
HBO. Which belt are we talking? The WBO?
Well, if Andy Lee wins it, it'll be HBO paying for it to get him to fight Golovkin, or it'll be obviously Heyman paying for it to get it for Jacobs.
I think HBO, because Golovkin's made it abundantly clear that he wants all the belts. And if we're talking Jacobs, Golovkin's already got the belt, within that ridiculous organisation. So I don't even want Golovkin to recognise Daniel Jacobs.
And Golovkin and Lee fought as amateurs, interestingly enough. I think it was back in 2003.
And Lee was actually signed to fight Golovkin last year until Golovkin's father sadly passed.
That's correct, yeah.
That's true. Here, Alex, how much do you think that EPO use came into effect for Jacobs last night in that first round, the way he came out there throwing punches?
I'll answer. Quite a lot.
He's a hit to pop away there. On you go. You take it over.
I'm no drugs expert, but it's absolutely rife, to be honest. So quite a lot. I would suggest.
Well, I think all cancer. I'm sure I'm right in saying this, that all cancer sufferers, or people who go through their cancer treatment, especially the type of cancer he had, need to get EPO in order to boost the red blood cells after.
But that would be considered absolutely therapeutic use.
I'm just saying, though.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. But then again, it can also be abused. Armstrong had the same excuse. He could use that. Oh, I'm using it just in case my cancer comes back.
Yeah.
But anyways, Matty, give me a quick rundown on Queller against Oquendo. This is another Panamanian featherweight title fight.
I tried to pay attention to it, but it was just kind of boring. Like, I mean, Cuellar, it's interesting. Cuellar's like one of the only guys that throws a pretty fair volume of punches that is just boring. I don't know what the hell it is. He's just another one of those fighters I'm indifferent to. You know, these guys they're kind of like the Mitt Romneys of boxing. I mean, like no one's excited about them. They're just kind of there. You know, like Glasgow. You know, he's another one. And this fight was, I mean, it was what it was. Cuellar is what he is. He says he'd like to fight Santa Cruz next. I don't know how much longer Leo's planning on staying at 122. I think their styles would actually mesh well, and that would be a very interesting fight. And you know, a chance for Leo to get a quote unquote belt in another weight class. But yeah, I mean, don't waste your time. You know, I'd rather watch the minute and a half of Jacobs against Quillen for like 15 times and go back and rewatch Cuellar Oquendo again.
So that takes us on to the Mexican fight between Moses Fuentes against Francisco Rodriguez Jr. Now, this is some sort of elimination fight for a WBO title at light flyweight. Rodriguez is overweight by about, I think it was about a pound and a quarter, I think he was. Anyway, split decision victory for Moses Fuentes, 116-112 twice, and 116-112 to Rodriguez. Close-ish fight. I didn't really score it today because I've been absolutely fucked with pain with a sore back, so go and watch it as on YouTube. But let's just go to the Channel 5 card, which I've got recorded but still to watch. Steve, Lenny Dawes lost by DQ last night. I see a lot of people slightly pissed at this decision. Actually, was the head putt, was it intentional? Did he deserve to be disqualified last night?
I don't think he deserved to be disqualified. It was, I don't know, I watched it a few times and he does seem to throw the head in, but as Richie Woodall says, he was doing that all night, so what's the problem? Which kind of counteracts his own argument. It was just a rough and tumble fight. Nieto was tough on the inside. Dawes tried to box as best he could. He's 36 now. He's been around for a long, long time. Dawes, I was surprised to even see him come back. I thought he retired. He tried to get the jab moving, but he hadn't got the leg movement, I think, to keep out of the way, and he kept on getting drawn into the trenches, and it was a real blood and thunder affair. Fair play to Mick again. Channel 5 might not always be the highest quality, but they put on really exciting main events, and the undercard wasn't too bad as well. But Dawes, I don't know whether he deserved to get thrown out or not. I think it was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and
I thought it was very harsh.
I feel sorry for him a little bit. Yeah, I could see the referee lost control. I don't know who the referee was. I don't even know what his name was or what country he was from, but he lost control of the whole thing. And it was a really bad cut saying that for Nieto. But I mean, Alex says he's maybe harsh. So I mean, you know.
Mehdi Raffin was the referee from Denmark.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the fight was very scrappy. I thought, decent, but the ref didn't really seem to have any control over it. It just got a bit worse at the end. You know, the headbutt on first showing, I think it does look quite bad. You know, you see just watching it in the flow of the fight. You know, he's just rushing in with a big punch, and then his head just proper lunges in and splits his eye open. It's a very bad cut. But you know, you watch the replays back, and you know, it's just, it happens. You know, shit like that happens in boxing. Unfortunately, it's not a case of fucking Bradley Saunders lunging in against Ronald Garrido or anything like that. I mean, it was just a very unfortunate clash of heads, and it should have gone to the scorecards.
It was a tired guy. It was a tired guy, wasn't it, Alex? At that time of the fight, the 10th round, he was just throwing everything Dawes, and I think he just got caught out.
Oh,
but
yeah,
the referee did the referee not deduct 2 points from Dawes and then throw him out? And it was so weird.
Yeah, he started pointing to all the judges like for a point off, and then he waved him off. It was just very bizarre. I think that Mick Hennessy's fucking furious, and he's going to talk to EBU about it, and if they're decent and they've got any credibility, I think they'll probably overturn that. But
Well, I think the advantage that Mick's got as well is if there is a rematch, he'll probably be back in London because Nieto's from Spain, isn't he? And I don't know if there's any big Spanish powerhouses over there going to drag Dawes. If it had been like a German boxer or an Italian boxer or French or something, then there's a chance the EBU could say, well, he's the winner, we'll have the rematch, but it'll take place in said country. But I'd say Mick will be able to pull Nieto back over here again.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I think I'm sure I read a wee while back actually about pro boxing. Was it no be getting banned for a while in Spain for some
They were
reason?
going to be withdrawn. Wasn't there membership from the EBU under
Or the
review?
WBC or something. I remember something like this. Aye.
I think the EBU weren't going to recognise them, or they didn't want to be recognised anymore. It was something like that, but it was pretty serious. Indictment on the boxing over in Spain was basically say we're not interested anymore.
Aye. I
Well, I think I
remember
read something
those
about.
apparently getting fucked over by, was it Rocco? His last fight for the European title in Italy?
Richard Liddell said that. I don't remember. I don't remember seeing it, Andy. I don't even remember it.
Matty, sorry mate.
I was reading something a while back, though. I think it was in regards to Kiko Martinez and why he has such a hard time, fighting in his home country, and it's just because they're right now. I mean, they're financially are so screwed. People they just cannot put asses in seats, so it's almost impossible to promote boxing in Spain at this point in time.
No, just finally, capping up the previews. I think Steve, you're the one that will catch this part of this German card that Del Boy Chisora was on, 5th round stoppage. Kubrat Pulev back with 1 round stoppage. But Jack Culkay against Dennis Hogan. I think he's of Irish descent, I think he is, mate, for another. Sorry, I was waiting to say the proper word there, the Panamanian title.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of Kulkai here and there on German TV. He seems decent enough. I think he's actually of Ecuadorian descent himself. He has 1 loss on his record. He's gone the 12-round distance, I think, in his last 6 fights, or his last 7 fights, including the defeat. So he's obviously picking up a lot of experience. The Germans aren't pushing through the likes of your Sturms and your Rochigianis and your Ulriches and all them these days. So Kulkai is pretty much all they've got to cling to. But the reason I watched this, like you say, because a few of the guys on Twitter were putting up links because Hogan's originally from Kildare, although he's fought his whole professional career over in Australia. And I thought, I might as well sit and watch this. And to be honest with you, I thought Hogan acquitted himself quite well. He's been highly ranked with the Panamanians for a while now, and he's waited for this opportunity. And he did okay. He counter-punched well. He showed good skills. He boxed off the back foot well. I think a 116, 112 to Kulkai would have been fair enough. I think the one score was maybe a 118, 110, something like that. I thought it was too wide. But Hogan did well, and he showed that he belongs at this sort of level. He can definitely come again. We could maybe see him over here, boxing over in Ireland at some point. But fair play to him. And as for Kulkai, he's decent, but he's no world beater. I think he'll be a solid enough champion if they can get hold of a decent belt, but nothing more than that.
Wasn't he a Mayweather fighter at some point, Kulkai? Or am I thinking of someone else entirely?
I remember him beating Moritz Weber. I think he's another German, but Kulkai,
Not sure, Alex.
That's what I think. No, I don't remember anything.
No, I must be thinking of someone else.
Must be, mate. Oh, would it not be Jesse Vargas you're thinking about?
No. It's definitely some Kulkai or something beginning with C. But
Cunt.
I don't know. Well, they're all cunts, but.
Right, just to let listeners know, especially for you listening live at the minute, if you're listening to this, you need to download the podcast either on iTunes and other outlets if you want to hear our short interview with Enzo Maccarinelli, who's getting prepared to fly out to Russia tomorrow for his fight on Saturday with Roy Jones Jr. So if you want to listen to that, you need to download the show in probably a little over 2 hours from now from iTunes. So that being the reviews finished.
Andy, sorry, can I just mention a couple of fights which might have slipped under the radar? I watched the Box Nation card from the beginning, and there was a guy on there, Marcus Brown, who fought Sierra, I think it was. I was quite impressed by him. He has a statistically pleasing record. I've heard a few people talk about him before and wanted to have a look at him, and seems like a decent enough fighter with a bit of power, so he could be one to keep an eye on. And also Chris Algieri was fighting, I think, Eric Bone, a guy who we saw getting knocked out recently. He might have been was it Sean Porter? I can't remember who knocked him out. Yeah, and he was okay. That wasn't a bad fight, actually. I don't mind Algieri. I know he's got no power, so it's pretty much not going to end in a knockout, but I thought it was pretty exciting, especially towards the end. He actually got a knockdown and went the 10-round distance and just kept his name in the frame, so I just wanted to mention those two guys.
And Brown is definitely improving. He was definitely underwhelming coming out of the Olympics, and he's starting to look better. But Sierra did come in like 6-7 pounds overweight or something like that, so you kind of have to take that win with a grain of salt. He was much.
You're cutting out there a wee bit, Matty. Put on mute just now, right? Okay.
I think he said you have to take that win with a grain of salt.
Oh. Right, we'll put you on mute just now, Matty, to get your shit fixed in the background there. We'll dive into the first Twitter question. I'll go to Adam with this.
Hold on.
What is it?
Poor Michael Sprott got sparked out last night.
That's the third fight running, I believe.
He needs to start being refused licenses.
It's actually an indictment. Actually, I mean, who's fighting soon? Actually, can't see this. Did he not have a fight recently in Australia, or he's due one in Australia shortly?
I believe the guy who knocked Michael Spott out has good form in this sort of treading these type of waters. He also knocked out Danny Williams a few fights ago as well.
He's 10-0 with 9 knockouts. I'm just seeing his record now, and it's pretty shit. Some German lad, so we might be seeing him in a couple of years, hyped up and then sparked out.
Any other fights, guys? We'll just move on at these Twitter questions here. I'll get Adam on with the first question. If none, I've got Robbie Dugan asking Adam, AJ gets stick because the casuals love him, but does anyone on the pod think he won't be a legit world champion one day?
Well, that's a good question, and I feel like a lot of the time I'm repeating my views on AJ on a weekly basis, and I think he's got all the tools there and all the foundations to be a world champion. Yes, I do. Are they going about it the right way? Possibly not. Is the hype too much? Absolutely yes. A lot of the time I don't think the hype's down to Anthony Joshua himself, though. A lot of the time we've got people like struggling off the top of my head, but we've got people who hype themselves and say they're the best in the world, and I'm going to mess this kid up, and then I'm going to mess that kid up, and then I'm going to unify the division all by the time I'm 21 or whatever. Joshua don't do that. The people around him do, and it's embarrassing. But yeah, I think he'll go on to be a world champion. I just think that they've been talking about he's ready to beat everyone now. Well, no, he's not, and that was a year ago, and he's still not ready to beat everyone now. So we'll get next week out of the way. And as he is the pay-per-view headliner, there's not really much back down from there. He won't get away with going back for 8-rounders against Latvians in Birmingham. He's going to have to, 2016, he's going to have to be against some legit guys. And this time next year, heading into 2017, will be on the brink of a world title shot for Anthony Joshua, yeah.
Anyone think he might get pushed into a final eliminator against, like, say, your Staverns, Pulev, maybe even Glasgow if this IBF fight doesn't come off?
I think, in a nutshell, yes. We know that Matchroom like a final eliminator and like a mandatory slot, so yeah, in a nutshell, yes, I do expect
Alex, you saying this is a final eliminator? How the fuck can Dillian White be involved in a final eliminator for WBC title?
No, this isn't a final eliminator, is it?
Fuck knows. I mean,
I don't think it is.
He is ranked Joshua's ranked number 2 because he holds the Intercontinental title.
But does it say, mate, if it's a final eliminator or anything like that?
Probably not.
Fucking Jesus! I just wonder. I mean, personally, I know I've had Dylan on this call before and stuff, but I'm going to just go right on the line and say that AJ is going to do it and do it early doors. And if that does happen, and you got Eddie Hearn claiming this is the biggest fight in Britain in 2015, right? That just tells you how shite it's been this year for us, right? Now, if this is the biggest fight for 2015, then good and well, but it's a British title fight, no more, no less. So after this, you're all going to be asking the question next week: who next? Who next? Because I'm looking at these rankings just now, and none of them really want to stack up. Tepper's injured. Lucas Brown, who probably will
Tepper's not injured.
I know, I said that last week.
But Brown's fighting Chagayev.
Yeah, which I think he'll lose. Pulev.
It's a good fight. That'll be fun.
Stavern fights, I think, sometimes at the end of the year, maybe early next year.
Stavern's fucking done, though. I mean,
Big Nipple, I think he's fighting next week, I think, as well.
He's done. Fuck me, he's definitely done.
Okay, Joe Parker. I mean, he's protected.
No chance
If you want to talk about protection,
he's protected.
He's protected. Look at some of the trash he's fighting.
24 years old. Fuck off.
No, they're both protected. And I made a comment about this the other day. I think that neither of those two will go anywhere near each other because they're both so protected, and they're both very talented. But until they've either had a shot, won a world title, or had a shot at a title and failed, they will not fight each other. Because it's
Parker just won again too.
And you just know Let's Go champ's not going to happen, is it? Fucking hell! I mean, Ustinov, Tarver. I mean,
Ustinov might be a shout,
That's the problem, isn't it?
No, but the problem is because we've got the people that are protected. There's not many that are ranked highly that would be a good test and willing to fight Anthony Joshua. That's 3 criteria they've got to fit. and they've got to be reasonably cheap as well for you know who. So that's 4 criteria they've got to fit. There ain't many of them about.
Yeah, and the Taverns with Don King, and that could be a complete nightmare to work with. Right, next question. Steve, can the panel decide... Steve left as he went away?
He just fell off the call.
Alright. Alex, this one comes in for Winky's right. He's asking, can the panel decide what is the worst division in Britain in terms of depth of talent to go to world title levels and go to world level and get titles? He flagged up 2 divisions in particular, 140 and 175. The 175 top 5 got Cleverly, Ajizav, Dickinson, Sinquin and Burton, and 140's got Catterall, John Wayne Hibbert, Lenny Dawes, Ashley Theophane and Dan Hamilton, who I've not seen fight for fucking years now, I don't think so.
That 175 is a good shout. What about cruiserweight? I know
140's shocking though, man.
Yeah, I mean, with with Clevens, Catterall, I think those 2 are sort of levels above the rest of the guys domestically, and they're sort of encroaching upon world level. But well, maybe not Catterall. He's still a ways to go, but I think he's got the potential to do so. Cleverly, he did very well against Fanfara, for full credit to him. But again, the world level at 175 is such a big leap now. Kovalev, Stevenson, Ward coming up soon. It's too much of a leap for him. I think cruiserweight again. Ola's there. Tony Bellew we'll see next week. I think it's probably more likely. You go down to the little weights, the flyweights, and that, and the jump from domestically. You Cal Yafais and or although I rate Cal and Paul Butler, it's still a massive jump up to the likes of Gonzalez and Inoue and Ruin Wrong, etc. And it's so shallow domestically. I mean, fuck me.
Yeah.
I mean, look who fucking Cal Yafai fought for the British title, and who was it the other week who fought for the British title as well? No, Charlie Edwards wasn't it? He fought for the English title.
Was it Paul Edwards? No, Paul Edwards?
He fought some fucking shocking guy anyway. I mean,
he's a referee.
It's just absolutely very shallow domestically.
Matty, next question comes in from Barry Evans. If Froch keeps telling us he's too big and too strong for De Gale and Triple G, why don't we ever hear him talking about facing Kovalev or Stevenson?
I think Froch is retired, man. I just think he's talking. I honestly, you know what the funny thing is? If he came out of retirement and they could make the fight, I would take Froch against Stevenson. I would not take him against Kovalev. I think Kovalev knocks out Froch. I think anyone who talks about wanting to fight Kovalev is out of their freaking mind. I mean, there's no 2 ways about it. But you know what? God, would you say that? If Froch wanted to come out of retirement, if there's one fight that I'd like to see him have, it would be against Stevenson. That'd be a good fight. And then he'd kind of be able to, balance out his, bragging contest with Joe Calzaghe because they'd have belts in the same weight classes then.
Talking to Mr. Calzaghe, I watched it last night actually. I was teary-eyed just watching the man, legend at work, seen his dad.
Teary Jap's eye.
Yep, honest to God, mate.
Is it any good? I was thinking of buying it.
Oh, mate, listen, our text to ceiling last night.
Fuck's sake.
Steve, you back, mate?
Yeah, just in time to hear that lovely little nugget.
Oh, you get it all here, mate. Lee Davis is asking this question, mate. What's more likely to happen next year? Brook versus Khan versus Pacquiao, Brook versus Bradley, Khan versus Garcia, or Eddie versus Humility?
Or Steve remembering all of those options.
Get a pen and paper, mate.
Yeah, Khan against Brook. I'm hopeful now. I think it's going to happen in and around May. Eddie said it's going to happen, and you have to believe what Eddie says. So I'm definitely think that's going to happen. Khan Pacquiao, I don't know. It depends if Sarge and all the boys can get that around the negotiating table and make that happen. I would say no. Pacquiao is fighting Bradley, isn't he? And then out.
Supposedly.
Is Pacquiao confirmed yet?
He's been offered Bradley, but I think there was another fighter actually. There was Khan, Bradley, and there was someone else on the short list. Crawford, that was the one. Crawford. I think that's what I heard. Adams pushing for Crawford, and I think Conks is actually looking toward Bradley.
Yeah, Crawford's a real bad idea because he'll get beat by Crawford.
Yeah, I would rather see Pacquiao against Khan or Pacquiao against Crawford than Pacquiao against Bradley, to be honest with you, because they're two sort of untested propositions. I know he's fought Bradley twice already. I know about the first fight, etc. But it's been done now. Let's move on and see something else. But I don't think Khan will get the Pacquiao fight now. I think he will get the Brook fight. Maybe he'll fight Bradley. I don't know. What are the options?
Brooke Bradley, though, I really think Eddie's just really kind of pissing us about with that idea. I mean, he's talking.
Brook Bradley?
Yeah.
No, it just never seems like it's going to happen, does it? Brook against, oh God, what did you call him again? Chavez might happen yet. I suppose that's just fallen by the wayside now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one seems to be mentioning that fight, do they? I mean, or any sort of idea of when it's going to be rescheduled. I mean, I can't even remember why it was called off.
Aren't they talking Brook
Injury
against
for Brook.
Gazier?
Yeah, I mean, he's got his mandatory, hasn't he? And that's what they're talking about. So it seems like the Chavez fight is just completely dead in the water.
Yeah.
The BVA fight will have to happen because the IBF, as we've seen with Fury and we've seen in previous examples, are pretty stringent with the mandatory, so they're not going to be hanging around forever. If Brook doesn't fight Bizier, then theoretically he's going to be stripped.
And you know that everything about Book's career hinges on that title. He is the one guy that, you know, the title means everything for him. You know, no less. Daryl Jelly's got next got 3 questions in here. Adam, what's the panel? But what is your Christmas list for boxing for 2016?
Right at the top, Gonzalez Estrada rematch, followed by Stevenson Kovalev, and that was on my wish list last year, but Santa didn't deliver that. And then thirdly would be Triple G and Canelo, please.
Matty?
I want Gonzalez against Inouye even more than I want Gonzalez Estrada too. I want to see Thurman against Porter, and I would like to. I want to see Kovalev against Ward more than I want to see Kovalev against Stevenson. Stevenson's a fuck.
Alex?
Yeah, I want to see Kovalev Stevenson. Just to see Kovalev fucking spark him out. That'd be brilliant. Kovalev Ward again will be an excellent little fight. I think it'll be maybe a step too much for Ward, and obviously Gonzalez Estrada rematch. I think that needs to come first. I think Gonzalez needs to clean up at flyweight and just completely capture all the belts before he. And it gives time for Inoue to really sort of get back in the game, boost his profile a little bit.
Yep. Steve?
Canelo against Triple G for me, followed by Kovalev against Stevenson, pretty standard ones. And the third one I would like to see is actually Tyson Fury against Deontay Wilder. I would love to see that fight. I think the trash talk would be immense. I love the direct attitude on social media, both of them. No middlemen, no mediators, no speak to my managers. Bang, bang, bang. They're at it all the time, going back and forward. So I think they'd both take it. So, yeah, I'd love to see it.
For me, I'd like you see Lomachenko and Rigondo. The other one I would like to see, obviously, would be Gonzalez Estrada, but I'm also agree with Matty that I'd like to see the Inoue fight, and also agree with Matty, and I also agree with Alex saying is maybe give Inoue a wee bit more time to recover from the hand surgery, etc., and just let him get back in the ring and get a couple of fights under his belt first. And then probably after that, I would like to see, well, obviously Kovalev Stevenson would be the one I would like, but I also agree with Steve that I want to see Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. The shit talking that would be tremendous.
Oh, I'd also like to see Joe Gallagher versus a bus.
Fuck off.
Okay, on the second part of Daryl's question then, who will headline the next substandard matchroom pay-per-view in 2016? I'm guessing Hay versus AJ or DeGale versus Murray. Alex?
That's too good. Go on.
What? Say it again?
Who will headline the next substandard matchroom pay-per-view in 2016? I'm guessing Hay versus AJ or DeGale versus Murray.
I don't think Hay versus AJ is going to happen. It depends how Hay looks in his comeback, and if he is actually coming back and not just ripping cunts off again. Can they really make DeGale Murray pay-per-view? I don't think that'll be a headline. Neither man is really got a big fan base, I don't think. So it's going to be AJ against some sort of fucking duffer. I'm just trying to think who
Luke
domestic.
Campbell, probably.
No, it'd be too small.
No, but I mean,
Gale
look,
Boy couldn't be a
given
pay-per-view,
that
could
given
he?
that Cleverly and Bellew was the headline of a pay-per-view, it could be any of the above could be payper-view because they can apparently and evidently so stack an undercard.
Third part of the question, Steve, who's had a better year, Warren or Hearn?
Good question.
Well, I think we've had variations of this question a few weeks now, haven't we? It depends what you like, I suppose. Frank seems to be on the way up again because hasn't got a big stable. He's got the Box Nation platform. He is being forced to push people together into good fights. So I've been impressed with what Frank's delivered this year, and they seem to be getting stronger. Eddie, fight-wise, show-wise, from my point of view, sitting watching it on telly, has been pretty weak. But then he would probably say, well, I'm making more at the turnstiles, I'm having great viewing figures, I'm getting people in bums on seats. So from his point of view, he'd probably think he has a good year. So it depends what your criteria is. Personally, I've enjoyed what Frank's put forward. And if you'd 5 or 6 years ago, Frank was pretty much the Eddie, he was the Antichrist, and I'm surprised to hear me saying that. But yeah, Frank's done okay. But Eddie will be pleased too.
Good stuff.
I don't know. I don't really honestly see how Eddie Hearn can be pleased. We answered this question a few weeks ago, really. Who has he delivered for this year? Actually delivered for? He's not delivered for Kell Brook. He has not delivered for James DeGale.
Delivered for Kevin Mitchell.
He's not delivered for Kevin Mitchell. My answer was Lee Selby. But then again, Selby's took himself to America. Who has Eddie Hearn delivered for this year? I'm really struggling to find out.
I'm wondering what
Frank Warren has had a good year. He's had, Flanagan, etc. I think Frank's had a decent year, and it gets better because the December the 19th show for Frank, if it all goes ahead, fingers crossed, is a good show.
I'll tell you what, the optimist in me is really interested in the working relationship between Hearn and Al Heyman. It opens up a lot of doors.
He's also working with Hurinov as well, so you're talking potentially some of his fighters going to Russia, getting some decent paydays.
You know what, though? You see those type of agreements, I always wonder, though, because when you see the press releases, you hear about, Hearn's got his fighters going over to Heyman. So often, though, these agreements, they never actually come to anything, do they? You never see the fights materialise, you never see the agreement, the arrangement or the relationship blossoming. So if Hearn and Heyman and Hearn and Hurinov, this is a bit of a tongue twister there, do have these good working relationships, then theoretically it's brilliant for the sport, but they just never seem to come off.
No.
Apparently, Selby versus Leo Santa Cruz is in the works for next year, February.
See, that's good. And the thing is, this is chess. It's not checkers. And 2015 was pretty shitty. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. But, the pieces are positioned for a stellar 2016 if we get lucky. Some things need to happen, but it's really potentially going to be a very good year if some of these relationships create the fights that they should be intended. Those relationships should be intended to exist to create.
Right, I've got a couple of questions in here off Facebook. A three-part question from Rory Paddock. Matty, with the amount of bad press Tyson Fury is getting since his big win and protests over his inclusion in the Sports Personality of the Year, surely the panel can come up with at least, if not more, bigger bell ends in boxing that were more deserving of such a media witch hunt would your top five. Well, fucking Bruno could do it. Mayweather could do it. David Hayes a bit of a cunt in the background for what I'm hearing.
Stevenson.
Can't.
Khan's not nearly as bad as Stevenson, though. I mean, Stevenson pimped out fucking teenage girls. I mean, let's try to, top that.
Okay, let's try and top it. Who's the bigger bellend, guys? Come on, start racking your brains together here.
I mean,
Yusef Mack for lying about his working relationships.
Sloth Mitchell just for like pretending to be a boxer.
He's an imposter.
What's he basing it on, though, Andy? I mean, like, say if we mention Fury and say some of his comments, like his homophobic comments or whatever offend people, but I mean, putting it into context with the likes of Yusuf Mack, I mean, who is he really offended with his antics? I mean, what are we basing this sort of on?
I guess it's all based on your view of a shitty person. Can we all agree that can we all agree that pimping out a teenage girl is a thing that shitty people do? I mean,
exactly.
We can all
So
agree on that.
Stevenson is probably higher up the Twitter meter than Fury because Fury is only saying things. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got to be Adonis Stevenson, but we need to try and find a top 5 somewhere. So twats. I mean, you're talking like people who would offend basically the loony left, basically the people on the left-hand side of democracy who are absolutely offended by the fact that some people breathe, that some people might be gypsies or whatever it is. You know, that they're just deeply offensive of their way of life or whatever it is. So I don't know, but
Roger Mayweather.
Okay. Floyd Mayweather.
Hey, he's a world record holder now, man.
Try to think who else. Top of my head. I mean, the thing is, there probably is a lot of bell ends out there, but I mean, what about Canelo Alvarez for smashing up that little flyweight? What was his name again?
Yeah.
What was that guy's name again?
Shit, what is his name?
Apart from the flyweight was banging his wife or his girlfriend or something like that. It was
yeah.
That doesn't make him a bell end. It's just that's what he should be doing.
It was if the guy wasn't shagging his missus though. When you come back, we need to get that one some more
What do we
serious
think
thought.
of this Fury thing then? I mean,
Chavez Jr. is definitely a shittier person than Tyson Fury.
Yeah, right. My thoughts on it is, I think it is a witch hunt going against Fury just now. I mean, maybe I'm being out of line with saying it, but I just don't think that some of the press can actually accept the fact that they've got a Roma or a fucking gypsy fucking running around as world heavyweight champion, and a guy who, in all intents and purposes, is slightly like Ali and Jack Johnson. He doesn't give a fuck. He'll just say what he wants, do what he wants, when he wants, how he wants.
Yeah, I mean, I've been sort of wrestling with what my thoughts have been on it, really. I mean, I don't agree at all with the things he's been saying or insinuating. I mean, people are trying to pass it off as saying, free speech, he's entitled to say what he wants, and it's true. He's absolutely allowed to think and say what he wants. Part of me thinks that that's what the media is always going to do. They're going to be picking these faults. They're going to be looking for anything to latch onto to cause a stir, because ultimately causing a stir and a bit of an uproar helps them sell papers, helps them get online hits, and I think that's ultimately what it is. They're looking to get offended, they're looking to find things to wind people up and get wound up about. That's what they've been doing. They've been hunting down these comments, these sexist comments that he apparently made about Jessica Ennis, which is, borderline sexist. I mean, borderline. I mean, what did he say? She looked fit in a dress. I mean,
she's well hot, by the way.
Yeah, she doesn't fit in a dress.
You're not going to get Sports Personality of the Year, Andy.
I don't care, mate.
Well, at least
just to get a show here.
Fury has the humility at least to say, "Are you fucking stupid? I'm not a role model." I mean, at least he has humility.
Well, he's right. He's right because
yeah, go ahead and be who you want to be.
If you're going to be a role model, listen, who was it? Tyson Fury said that? I can't remember. But if you're going to be, it's not up to him or fucking Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao to be fucking role models. It's up to the fucking individual's fucking family. Now, obviously, you're gonna have people who are orphans and stuff like that, but they've got other people to look up to, hopefully, or some people try and get look up to them. This shit that Tyson Fury, heavyweight champion of the world, is going to be some sort of fucking role model for some leftist motherfucker is nonsense. It's up to the person who's watching Tyson Fury to say, okay, I don't agree with your set of values, I'm going to better myself because of that. I look towards my dad or my mum or my fucking grandfather to look towards how proper values are. Then he fucking lay it on Tyson Fury's plate. He says what he says, how he says it, and how he wants it.
And what he says shouldn't be the thing that people are looking to idolise him for either. I mean, boxing is absolutely rife with apparent idols who are fucking scumbags. I mean, I mentioned it during the week. Muhammad Ali, probably the biggest idol, of all time, in maybe even in the sporting world, certainly in boxing. Inspired so many fighters to turn to fighting. But how many of them turned to fighting because he was a racist? How many people turned to fighting because he was a homophobe? No one talks about those sorts of things in his life because they didn't matter. They're inspired by his ring performances. Mike Tyson as well. They're inspired by the brutality and his knockouts and how fucking good he looked in the ring. They weren't inspired by how he raped people or was a homophobe himself. Allegedly, she agreed to all sex. And same with Tyson Fury. What they should be inspired by is the fact that he went over to Germany, he beat the current champion when no one expected him to, and he executed a perfect game plan. That's what they should be inspired by and idolized by. They shouldn't be looking at the media. It doesn't matter what he fucking says. It's what he does and how he achieves it that matters. I mean, if he was to be just a fat cunt all the time and do absolutely nothing and get lucky and all the rest of it, then yeah, he's a bad role model. But ultimately, he worked hard for that title, and he deserves full credit for it.
Exactly, and what really pisses me off, sorry Adam, I was bringing in just now, what really pisses me off is you get these so-called chief sports writers who probably cover fucking golf every week, fucking saying, is Tyson Fury the worst heavyweight champion of all time? I mean, fuck man, have you not seen Primo Carnera? Have you not seen some of the South African cunts and what was that cunt, Johnny De Goot from South Africa? He was a heavyweight champion for a while or something like that. Or
Something the Bragamov?
Johnny DePlue, that was his name. Johnny DePlue. He was the fucking worst person I've ever seen fight for a world heavyweight title.
Obviously haven't seen them, and that's the point. They don't watch boxing. They're fucking clueless about it all, and they're looking for, as I said, looking for things to get upset about. And fair enough, they are upsetting comments to a lot of people, and they're very out of tune with modern views, and I agree with that. But ultimately, it does not affect his ability to be a role model. It affects how you perceive him as a person, but not as a role model, because as a role model, he's a sportsman, and you look to what he achieves in the ring.
The best thing about the Fury situation for me is that he will not change. I mean, he will not change what he says, when he says it, and how he says it. Even last night, when Gugan, for about the 5th time this week, asked him what he makes of the whole media reaction, he reiterated that he thinks Jessica Ennis-Hill looks nice in a dress and that Paris Fury should be at home cooking. He will not change, and that's why I like him.
And do you want to know what's fucked up different between our two countries, guys? Is that, it's one thing, that we can just say, hey, this guy will say what he wants. He doesn't want to be a role model. Let him be as he is. And even I appreciate that. I'm kind of on your side on this. All right, so whatever. He's a sports figure. And you just look at it as, he worked hard. That's what you tell your kids if you want to teach them a lesson. The problem in my country is we'll vote for these people for fucking president, man.
Also, though, Andy, the attack is coming from all sides, because at the beginning you said it's like a sort of leftist agenda, but the newspaper attacks are coming from the Daily Mail and the Times are the two most vocal ones, especially Oliver Holt.
Yeah, the Red Tops are really winning as well, though,
mate. It's a traditionally right-wing newspaper.
It's not political, it's just to sell papers and get hits. That's all it is.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I know what you mean, mate, but the fucking Red Tops, I class them as lefty bastards and that, so they've been fucking chiming in. And I don't
lefty bastards.
I don't read the Daily Mail, the fascist right-wing cunts.
Again, I think that his comments are outrageous and fair enough, but it's got nothing to do with his sporting ability, so leave it out.
Right, next question. Part of that second part of the question. Adam, this is for Rory Paddock again. On many a podcast, I've heard some of the panel say boxing is in a piss-poor state of affairs. That sounds like me, actually. With that in mind, can you ask the panel which one of these 3 changes you would prefer to see implemented into the sport and why? 1. No more than 2 world governing bodies. 2. A champion that can only fight guys ranked in the top 5 of their title rankings unless it's a unification fight. Or 3. The elimination of catchweights for title fights at any level.
Well, all 3 are going to be hard to implement, whichever way you look at it. I mean, it's so easier said than done. Oh yeah, we'll just go down to 2 governing bodies or 1 governing body. It ain't happening. They're all earning too much money. The promoters, the organisations, the fighters, everyone's earning too much money for that. I do like the catchweight idea. I think that would be more easier to implement. Obviously, we've got stars in the game at the minute, like Floyd, Pacquiao, Canelo, Cotto, them kind of guys who can dictate terms. For catch weights and stuff. There's enough weights already. We're not in the 1960s. There are 13 or 14 weights.
17.
Crack on. We don't need Cotto weight. We don't need Canelo weight. We don't need Froch bloody weight at 172. I think just get rid of catch weights, please.
I'm against I'm against a complete outlaw of catch weights because sometimes they are useful. They are relevant for making certain fights happen. I think that Rigondo, Lomachenko could do with one, and it would be perfectly reasonable. But when it's used as a clear cheating mechanism, an advantage gained, then it's bullshit. What would solve things? Maybe the top rank, only fighting guys in your top 5.
A champion can only fight guys ranked in the top 5 of their title rankings, which I can see the point, but I think you've got to have a voluntary. But yeah, I think he should only defend his title against the top ranked guys. I mean, Charlo last week fought a guy ranked number 14 in the IBF. I mean, come on.
I mean, again, rankings can be abused anyway. I mean, they can always push some fucking donut up into the top 5 and fight them, but it limits the opportunities, doesn't it? So.
Well, what I was going to say is I would probably like to see the elimination of catchweights and that, but as you say, Alex, there is fights out there that you maybe get a guy who's too heavy or too small and stuff like that. So you got to fight. I'm not totally against catchweights, but you've got to find that. But as you say, some people are abusing it just to get an advantage. Some of these fights, some of the big fights we want to see and stuff like that, you need to say to these two fighters, just whoever you think, right? Where he's comfortable. Where can you fight? Can you meet at 168? Can you fight at 170? Would you be comfortable there? Yeah, we could do it, right? Okay. Can you come down that far? Yeah, potentially. So you kind of meet somewhere in the middle there. The title is a big thing, though. The world title that they may have at that time is a thing. As I said about Kell Brook there, that title is everything to Kell Brook. Whereas, like, maybe if Pacquiao and Mayweather fought at catchweight, they wouldn't need a title because they transcend the sport in so many ways. So I think the catchweights are probably here to stay. And to be honest, they have been here for quite a number of years anyway. You go back in history and stuff between ex-champions, title holders like Henry Armstrong, for instance, fighting over the weight fights and stuff like that. So they have been here a while. But I like to see this one about the champion can only fight. Well, what I would say is rather than just fight guys ranked in the top 5, I would say is he can only defend his title against guys ranked in the top 5.
Yeah, but Andy, on the back of that, whose rankings are we taking notice of? We've seen some of the terrible rankings. We could, and the IBF, it won't rank the WBC champion, and the WBO won't rank the Panamanian champions. I mean, whose rankings are we going off? Are we going off those of Steve Wellens? Are we going off those of BoxRec? Are we going off those of IBF? It's chaos.
That is chaos. That was part of the question was, how many, no more than 2 world governing bodies, so which 2 would you pick really, But so academic because I think they're just as bad as each other. Because I'm just looking at the WBC rankings there. I've seen one. What weight was it? I've seen the same guy put in twice. Was it Alexander Hagen? I think. Give me a second here. I'll just confirm this. Where the fuck was it?
It's a good question from Roy, isn't it? I'd be interested to hear what he thinks there's in a utopian sort of existence, but in reality they're very hard to implement. If you're not getting what you want from one governing body, you just go along to another one and get it off them instead.
Says WBC, it says super middleweight rankings have got Alexander Brand ranked number 5 and number 6. Right, third part of Rory's question. Steve, we all know the panel's beef with the Panamanians, aka the organisation whose name cannot be mentioned, but of the other 3 recognised governing bodies, can you rank them in order of who you most prefer and why? You can.
This is like I always say, like ranking flipping the death penalty in different orders. I mean, getting the electric chair might be nicer than being hung, but at the end of the day, you're only going one way. So, flip, I don't know. I quite like the IBF. I like their sort of principled stance. I'm sort of leaning at the moment. Regarding the Fury thing, I can see where they're coming from. It doesn't matter who you are. They're putting aside huge sanctioning fees for the Klitschko rematch to force, the Fury to defend against their number 1 challenger, which is in their rules. Now you might turn around and say, well, why is Glashkov even up that high anyway? When he beat, was it Charles Martin or somebody like that to get that ranking? He shouldn't be there in the first place. But at least they are following through with their rules. So the IBF. Yes, I'm sort of happy enough with them. The WBC, I think Adam said this a few weeks ago, they seem to be moving in the right direction now. They've obviously had their problems. Suleiman was obviously on the dodgy side, but his son seems to be clearing things up a little bit. We had the Cotto incident. They're not maybe pandering to the Mexicans as much as they did. I mean, we don't know yet, but they don't seem to be. So I'm happy enough for the WBC. I'll put them second. Number 3, the WBO. They're as dodgy as ever. Some of their rankings are an absolute joke. You've got Jimmy Kelly next week being pushed into the top 15 or whatever it is to fight Liam Smith. John Thompson should have never been fighting for a world title. The thing with the WBO, they pander to the promoters, your Warrens, your Arams. They really do make some poor fights. Some of the poorest quote-unquote world title fights that I've seen have involved WBO champions. Putting aside the Panamanians, we all know what they're like. I wouldn't even put them fourth. I'd have the IBO fourth. So IBF, WBC, WBO, IBO, WBU, WBF, Panamanians.
Just thinking, mate, I just see that Jamie Cox is ranked number 4 with the WBO super middleweight. He's only had 2 fights at that weight.
Cox.
Now he's
I
number
mean, look at
4.
his last 3 fights. Look at his last 3 fights, man. First round knockouts against who? Guys who are ranked highly with the WBO. All you have to do with them is get like an intercontinental, international, intergalactic, whatever the hell these things are, and you get pushed up into their top 15. It's like brown envelopes, only without the brown envelopes.
Now, who was it was mentioning there about Tyson Fury? Doesn't say Donnie just sent me a quote here, right? We were just talking about how Tyson's getting all the shit in the press, right? I'm going to read this out for Donnie here. The reason Ali and Tyson get a pass is because they're black. Blacks were oppressed in Ali's time, so his moments when he exhibited racial resentment were forgiven. Similarly, Tyson is never accused of anything lots of white frat boys at elite universities were accused of, but because of he was big, black and scary, he likely got railroaded. That's the truth.
How many people were actually around here during the time of Ali? I mean, are any of us back in 55, 60 years old?
I feel like it.
Yeah. Well, after fucking years of boxing like this, it'll really drag on. You'll make you feel old. But I mean,
You disagree with him? You don't disagree with Donnie there, Matty?
No. It's the thing is, America during that time. If you think that people just accepted what he said, they are so fucking full of shit. That is ridiculous to think that in 1970 that white America had tolerance for a loudmouth black man. My God, yet Tyson Fury isn't getting near the hatred that Ali got for things. Ali dodged the draft. He went against like what some people consider to be the most patriotic thing that you can do, and you don't think that white America didn't take a chance to hit on that? But people he's out of his fucking mind.
Okay, Alex, Sam Carp's got a question in. If what happened to Lenny Dawes happened to a matchroom boxer, how many of the cult would have took their own lives by now?
Well, there'd be a fucking uproar, wouldn't there? But again, it's because it's Channel 5. It's because it's Lenny Dawes and because it's Mick Hennessy. No one really watched the fight. I mean, I didn't watch it live, to be fair. I watched it the day after. By now Eddie would have been on the phone and fucking got the rematch sorted and got that turned over. So maybe Mick now has got a bit of clout now that he promotes the world and he can get it sorted.
Donnie, what the fuck, man?
He's coming in on submarine.
Coming in unannounced there.
I wanted to defend myself against Maddie's inappropriate characterization.
People call me a fucking redneck. What the fuck?
Well, look, no. I'm just saying the truth. I mean, the truth is this, and like I said, I'm finishing a paper right now, so I couldn't be on today. But I was taking a shit, and I figured, while I have some time here, I figured I'd do the Adrian Broner, and I would.
Are you at a Popeyes?
No, unfortunately.
No, he's in
come on to talk race relations.
No. What I was saying is that, look, at that particular time, you're right. I mean, Maddie's absolutely right. That, like, I wouldn't say that he was broadly forgiven by all of America. I mean, that would just be completely false and untrue. But I think that there were certain segments within the media, namely Cosell, who was, notoriously very liberal and very sympathetic to the black cause and everything like that. And they, I think, tried to minimize and forgive the instances where Ali exhibited some sort of like white resentment because they felt that it was understandable, because how could you watch people in the South get, mowed down by fire hoses when they were trying to protest to get basic civil rights? How, as a black person, could you not resent, white people as a result? I think that they understood that, occasionally he like lashed out and said those sorts of things, and I think they understood it. And similarly with Tyson, he was convicted by an all-white jury in the most whitest area of the country, Indiana, and his defense used the bizarre tactic of saying basically, well, everybody knew that Tyson was this like animal. Everybody knew how violent he was. If you agreed to go up to his room, obviously you must have been agree. I mean, that was just the worst defense strategy in the history of the world. But Tyson,
that's like the white fraternity
Admit it, Donnie.
strategy.
Admit it. You're going to say that she gave her consent, didn't you? Right?
I'm
And
not
remember,
gonna say
remember the
anything.
word. Wait,
All I'm
you
saying
said. Wait a
is
minute.
that,
You said to me. You said consent.
what?
Never mind.
Oh,
Only Brits will pick that one up.
But yeah, no. So I mean, I'm just saying, like, I think that Tyson Fury is not getting, and I think he actually said something very telling. He said, look, he's like, the gypsies are a little bit like Muslims. He's like, he's like, everybody always says, oh, well, they have their own ways, and people respect that. He's like, and why don't people respect that we have our own ways? And I think he's got a point to that.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a very unique and insular culture, and maybe their values don't agree with our values. But if you say something about Muslims, you're racist. But if you say something about the gypsies and you say something about Fury, then he's just a bad role model. If
a role model again.
I just think that he undervalues the gift of abortions to society.
Or of a female. I mean, come on. I mean, you said about a female, for instance, their best places in the kitchen and on her back. Come on,
Yeah,
guys.
I mean, yeah, like there's also
the
the phrasing of it. Like
who have already got iron on board as well.
You need to listen to this Tom Paul Glaser song called "Put Another Log on the Fire," Andy. Hey, trust me, it's it's awesome.
Right. Okay. Next question. You just going to be staying on long, Donnie? You heading off?
I can stay for a few more minutes. I just
you're still squeezing out that deuce, Donald?
No. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. But I'll stand for a few more minutes, then I gotta go.
Steve Crom's got a question. In what round would Eubank shatter Jacobs' glass chin?
We'll find out.
Fuck him.
Is that a joke?
Fuck him.
Hey, that'd be a good fight, actually. I wouldn't mind seeing that
mandatory.
fight.
It's a mandatory. The winner's supposed to face Jacobs.
Supposed to, yeah. We were talking about that earlier. I would be happy enough to see that. I think there's a good chance Eubank could knock him out, but I think that there's a good chance Jacobs could really get in and hurt Eubank and outwork him. Be a really, really good fight. Yeah, I could definitely see Eubank knocking him out, or vice versa.
Yep. Alex, Brian King's got one in here. Why didn't Femi Olasina get Rocco to give him a new name? And if the panel could have picked it, what would it have been? Be humble.
That's a good one. I don't think we can do Rocco justice in thinking up some daft English names.
Like that, Well, what about always cycling? What about
that?
Femi Firepower.
Femi Firepower, that's a good one, that. Yeah.
Femi Fists.
Feminine.
Very good.
Right, well, he's got another question in here, maybe a bit more serious one. Will Wilder wait to see if Glasgow wins the IBF so he can then duck Povetkin and take the fake unification fight?
That's a good shout.
Donnie away?
Yeah. No, I'm here. Well, I'm sorry, I just you cut out for 1 second.
Will Wilder wait to see if Glasgow wins the IBF title so he can then duck Povetkin and make the fake unification fight?
Well, I know that Al Heyman's camp, and it seems like Wilder, if you've read the headlines today, seem to be quite upset with main events in Glasgow because apparently they were trying to make a fight for the WBC title because Glasgow was also ranked there, and they've been negotiating for 2 months, despite the fact that that Wilder is, and despite the fact that Wilder's promoter Al Heyman and Kathy Duva clearly don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. Obviously the whole Stevenson-Kovalev situation, they're pretty bitter enemies, but they were actually trying to work together to make this fight. They were negotiating for almost 2 months because they never assumed that Tyson Fury would win that fight. And then when he did, they pulled out of the negotiations and immediately petitioned for the mandatory to fight Tyson Fury. They didn't have any interest in fighting Vladimir Klitschko because they thought that was a losing fight. But they believe that Glasgow could actually beat Tyson Fury. So now they've kind of dicked, Wilder and Al Heyman around and I don't think that they're going to be very keen on doing a unification fight later on down the line. But then again, the alternative is he's got to fight Povetkin, which is a lot tougher fight. So, it's going to be about whether or not they hate Kathy Dua enough to spurn her and go to Povetkin, or whether they are willing to work with someone they don't like because it's an easier fight. And I don't know whether egos will prevail or strategic matchmaking will prevail, and I guess we'll find out.
Adam, I don't know if I should give you this question, mate, because I know you're biased towards the man. And he always mentions...
I'm not biased, I'll just give you a truthful answer.
He says that, was it last week, he says that Carol Froch always gets hate every week and stuff like that, but who's the first person that mentions him every week?
Yeah, because I love him, I've got to keep him in the limelight. He's retired now, I've got to keep his name out there.
Right, okay, we'll try your best for him here then. Titchler's asking, after stating he was happily retired a few days ago, what day of this week will Carol Froch tell us he still has the fire burning?
Well, given that there's an hashtag Ask Froch with Bleacher Report or Bleacher Sport tonight, it'll probably be tonight.
Well, you're all over that, mate, aren't you? You're all over that tonight.
Oh, I'm all over it,
Tissues and fucking live lube the lot.
I mean, I just like the way that, when an Ask Froch comes out, we have the Twitter family coming all out of the woodwork and, rejoicing in a bit of Sunday night Froch hate, including, Kurt Ward and Christine and Brian. Everyone's forgetting that, and as I repeat, he finished his career with that amazing punch on that amazing
next
night.
question.
But
of all them,
to be fair, he finished his career.
Took home that amazing paycheck.
He finished his career in the ring with that amazing punch, and we'll give him that. But he really finished his career when he called out Gennady Golovkin the day before he retired.
No, I'll be honest, I don't like the way he's going about it. I think he should stay retired, but then saying I'll only come back for Golovkin, but then it's got to come up to 172. I mean, it's completely absurd. Golovkin is a middleweight through and through. He don't need to be. He makes middleweight comfortable. He ain't going up to 168. He certainly ain't going up to 172, the so-called Froch weight. I don't like the way Froch is going about it. He should just stick to his. He just should stick to his punditry. I know people don't like it, but Sky do. Sky are paying him. Continue that, please.
Matty, LM Mike Boxing's got a question here asking, what are we most scared of, another ISIS attack or the Twitter takeover when AJ wins next week?
The thing is, I'm more afraid of another ISIS attack because I think that ISIS is much more capable of accomplishing their ultimate goal than Anthony Joshua is. Next question.
Okay, I'll give you this question then. Is White versus Joshua a good fight for both men at this stage of their careers, or are we saying AJ is well past him already?
Well, but the short answer to that for me, I think, it's a good fight for both of their careers. They're both undefeated, both British, both apparently hate each other. Yeah, I think it's absolutely fine.
Alex Eubank? No. Okay, Steve, George Reynolds asks...
Wait, hey, Andy?
What?
I was just going to say, I like the route that Joshua's going. I mean, isn't that the traditional route that you go for the British title, the European title, and the world title? And hasn't Hearn gotten a lot of shit for basically playing the game of the ranking systems and, not fighting guys to the British and world and European titles first and just positioning his guys into these world title shots? So they'll get paid, but they also will get smashed by people that are obviously better than them, like, Brian Rose being the best example of that, where he went over to America to fight Andrade and got completely destroyed. Wouldn't it have been more beneficial to his career to build up to that point, build to the British title, build to the European title? I mean, I don't know. I didn't really see the point in that. And I like the fact that he's kind of taken him the old school Frank Warren way, which is to go British, European, and then go challenge for the world title.
Well, I really think that the British title fight was actually a mistake. I mean, just the simple fact is that these two were probably the top two heavyweights in the UK, so they made it for the British title. But Joshua could have won the British title long before. I mean, was he now 14-0, 15-0 now? He could have won that British title fucking in his fifth fight, probably, if he won.
Is he as many as 14-0, is he?
I think he is, mate. I had his record up there earlier on. I'm sure it was 14-0, maybe slightly more than that.
Did he win the Commonwealth against Cornish?
I think so.
Yeah, well, in that respect, then I agree with Donny. Actually, I think it's the problem that people have is the baggage that's been attached to it all, and the fact that this is pay-per-view, blah blah blah. I think if all that bullshit was taken away, stripped away, Donny, then probably Commonwealth, British, yeah, that's absolutely fine. European against Tepper soon, hopefully so. That's all great. I think it's all the stuff that goes with it that people are annoyed about. Why is a British title fight on pay-per-view, and all this type of thing. He's probably going to smash White, but from his point of view. It's a grudge match. He loves a grudge match. People are going to buy it, so.
Yeah, don't forget when Tyson came back after the Buster Douglas knockout, his first fight. I don't know if it was his first fight, but maybe it was his second fight afterwards. Was against his old Olympic rival Henry Tillman, who had defeated him in the amateurs and kept him out of the Olympics. And I think there's some sort of catharsis that is necessary to vanquish an old rival, and I don't mind the fight personally. I think that. A great champion avenges, the slights against him, and this is one of them.
Steve, George Reynolds asks, if you could take 5 active fighters with you to a street fight, who would you take?
Well, I'd take Tony Bellew for a start. He's bringing the power, but nobody's going to stand in his way. I would take Kell Brook and push him in the way and run off. Who else would I take?
Isaac Chilemba.
Who craziness value?
Chilemba, who beats him?
Yeah, exactly. Who's going to beat Isaac Chilemba? I'd take Arthur. Did it say anywhere in the world?
Just the street fight.
I'd take someone from the prison canteen.
Isaac,
because they know exactly the mean streets. Is that my 5 yet? I don't know. Who else? Who would you guys take?
I would take Amnit Ringrong because he can do prison time. So if you get him to kill the guy you're going to be fighting, then he can do the time, no problem. Let me think. Tyson Fury, he's a heavyweight champion in the world, so he's the baddest man on the planet. End off. Kell Brook, because if I needed someone to take the pain in prison up the anus, I'd take Kell Brook. Vincent Feigen Boots seems like a right hard bastard, proper hard bastard, so he just swings like he's a little bit like Marco Hook, so he's super middleweight, so I'll probably take him. And
here, the guy with the beard, the Russian with the beard, what do you call him? Yeah. He could stand and take a beating while we all got away.
Aye, we go to the pub for a pint.
I'll just take a team with proven form, Chris Eubank Jr. proven form, David Hay proven form in his street fight. I'm looking at people like that. Brandon Rios, he'll probably be on my list.
I'm going big. I'd go big guys. Chisora is someone that I'd take in a fight. And you know what? I'd take Chisora, and I'd go get one other guy, and I'd fucking take all you sons of bitches. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna break Ibuchi out of fucking prison, and I'll see you wherever the fuck you want to meet.
You're a big Ike fan, aren't you, Matty? Are you writing to him or something?
No, I don't want him to know where I live.
President knows everything, mate.
Aye. Right. Alex, Macho Grande's asking, if you could pick one home fighter to lose on December 12th, who would you pick and why?
AJ.
No.
Because it would be fucking glorious.
Alex, you don't really want AJ to lose.
I do.
You don't.
You don't
hate AJ. You hate the hype. You don't hate AJ.
I don't hate AJ at all. No, absolutely not. But I think that the absolute meltdown on Twitter, on social media, on Sky, on just everywhere would be fucking glorious. And I love everything absurd, and it would be absolutely absurd, and people would just fucking lose their shit, and it'd be amazing.
My short answer is Kevin Mitchell. He's had too many chances. I don't want him. I don't want another chance.
I can agree with that one as well.
Can I ask you guys a question? This is curiosity, because I just got asked for a British perspective on this. If somehow White was able to stop Joshua, would it be like the most shocking thing to happen domestically in a boxing ring since for an up-and-comer since Khan was knocked out by Prescott?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got
possibly,
to be probably even higher than that. It'd probably be the biggest shock, I would think, domestically. I mean, I remember when, what was his name?
Khan Prescott was
Remember El Christie got found out pretty brutally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it was known for a while that Khan's chin was a little bit shaky, like even before that fight. So
Yeah,
I mean, but
He got put down by
Joshua's never,
Willie Lyman.
Right, right. But Joshua's never been hurt in a professional fight. So I mean, I think that would be definitely more shocking. I mean, I'm not in the British boxing world as much, obviously, but I would just think for that reason alone.
Yeah, Khan's chin was under scrutiny at that point, like you say. Willie Limond had hurt him. Did he fight Michael Gomez? Did he?
Gomez.
Rashid Drilzam
Yeah.
put him down. Craig Watson had dropped him as an amateur after the Olympics. It was definitely circling.
Adam, Nick has got a question that asks, Snakes on a Plane is on next Saturday. Can anyone recommend anything else to watch instead of next week's pay-per-view, not Dog Pound?
Well, you took my answer.
The simplest thing, Enzo. Some people will stray over to the other sport that's a bit like boxing. I'm not even going to mention it. Or just come round to mine. I'm not paying for it. I'm going to be business, so feel free to come round if you want.
Yeah, why not mention it though? That's a great fucking fight. That's gonna be good.
No, I'm not. We will not be discussing that fight. We're a boxing podcast, not a wrestling one, Kurt, and we're certainly not for the other sport.
I agree. The only reason we discussed it the last time was because, it was an ex-boxer that won it.
Fair enough, yeah.
Right. Alex Rocco's got a question and saying, better chance of winning Fury winning Sports Personality of the Year or Mick Hennessy GQ Best Looking Man of 2015?
I think Mick's in with a shot. He's got a bit of money now, like I said, promotes the heavyweight champion of the world. Probably can afford to get himself a nice suit, get a nice little makeover, go see Gok Wan or something.
Here's a question for you, Alex. Who's heavier, Tyson Fury or Mick?
Fucking hell. I wouldn't like to think about how Jesus.
Not many questions left to go here. Steve Ricky Gervais saying, would the panel rather win the lottery or have Steve Bunch's head full of pound coins?
Full of what?
Pound coins.
I need to know what size hat that Bunce wears. Because it's definitely a question of volume, isn't it?
Hulkhead. We'll just disregard that one. I just don't want to answer it, I can tell. Okay, Steve. Ozzy Smith says, could 2016 see Andrew Selby challenge for a world title? He is currently better than Edwards and Satchel.
Oh, sorry. First of all, was that last question for me?
I didn't
Alright, sorry. Yes. No, I wasn't. I didn't realise it was for me. Sorry, it broke up a little bit. Selby. Well, I don't know. Selby's been talking a bit of shit, hasn't he? Didn't he say that he could knock Roman Gonzalez about and he has no skills and all this type of stuff?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a bit off the chain. But down at those lower weights, then yeah, I could see him beating.
Wait, isn't Selby like fucking way heavier than?
No, he's a flyweight. You just turned amateur. He's had 3 fights in the last 3 months.
Yes, he's a super
Andrew Selby.
Andrew
No.
Selby,
Selby's a fucking giant featherweight, and Roman Gonzalez.
Andrew Selby.
Andrew Selby.
Okay.
It's his younger brother, Donny. Yeah, at least Selby would eat him up for dinner, I think. No, I think Selby wouldn't. No, Selby, he can definitely get to world level. I couldn't see him beating Gonzalez, though. But yeah, at those lower weights, it's very weak, especially domestically, and I could see him getting to the likes of Satchel, fighting the likes of Wilton or Butcher or Conlon or those type of guys. And from what I've seen of him so far, yeah, he could be in that class very soon.
Wait, what the hell are you talking about? That the lower weights are weak?
Domestically, as in the amount of people you've got to fight, sorry.
Donny's having a fucking nightmare tonight. Listen to what we're speaking about, man. That's 2 mistakes in the last 2 minutes you've made there.
Sorry, Donny.
What's Cal Yafai doing these days?
Not much.
Won the British title recently, but it's not saying much.
He'll be on paper undercard next year.
He's another one he's at a weight division domestically. He's not really got a lot of options, so he needs to get in the Mexicans, the Japanese guys. If he's going to stay super flyweight, then that's the only route he's going to have to go down. Next question, Alex Jr. says, is Mick Hennessy the pound for pound best UK promoter, and if he had Hen's stable and financial backing, would UK boxing be better than it is now?
Well, again, he promotes the heavyweight champion of the world. He's done it. He's the fucking daddy at the moment. I mean, Hearn's got his a few decent Panamanian shots this year, but fuck the Panamanians. And Warren's done all right. He's done, comparatively speaking, I think Hearn's put on a lot of shit this year. I mean, it's been totally a shit year, but fuck it. Mick's great, and TBE Mick.
TBE, the best of all time. Steve, Gypsy Warrior, Andrew Lee Evans, what's next for Hughie Fury? Go after Tepper for the European belt, or see if Mad Mick can get him the IBF shot against Glasgow?
If Mad Mick can get him the IBF shot against Glasgow, that would be brilliant. I don't think there's too much in disparity in quality levels between Fury and Glasgow. From what I've seen of Glasgow, I think it'd be an excellent fight. The IBF, I'm not sure actually through all of this where Hughie Fury is actually ranked in the IBF, if indeed he has any sort of ranking with them. I don't believe he does, so they will probably say no to that based on that. They'll think there's more deserving challengers. But if Mick and Peter Fury and all them are to be believed, it's very difficult to get Hughie fights. They said they've been offering fights against the likes of Tony Thompson and various other names, and I think Hughie could have a shot definitely against those guys, against Erkin Tepper. Tepper's a big brute, a big bully. I could see Fury outboxing him. I'm not sure that Hughie is the biggest puncher in the world, but he seems to have skills. He seems to have good athleticism. And he's definitely going about his work the right way. If he could get a fight with the likes of Lucas Brown, that would also be a good fight. If he could get a fight with, I think Deontay Wilder was looking at him at a time, then Hughie can definitely do things. One thing's for sure, we knew what was going to happen on Saturday night in the Oliver Miro fight. There was pretty much no point in that fight taking place whatsoever. But, I mean, he got a knockout in a minute and a half's time. At least he's staying active, I suppose. But I'm impressed with what I've seen from Fury in a relatively stale division.
Mate, I've got a question for you coming in a bit, so you shut up now. Right, Matty, Cameron Gillian's asking, Kovalev pound for pound number 4 currently. Does wins over Ward and Stevenson give him the number 1 spot? See, for me personally, mate, I would say either whoever wins Kovalev Ward is number 1 in my opinion.
There's certainly an argument for that, but there also is kind of consensus that Gonzalez is number 1 currently. So I guess it's kind of his to give up in the sense that if he has a strong 2016, say that he fights, I'm trying to think, Estrada and Roonwrong. Let's say that's part of Gonzalez's 2016. No matter who wins Kovalev against Ward, if Gonzalez is victorious in those fights and victorious in a good fashion, can you really take him out of the number 1 spot? So it's kind of a loaded question. It depends on Gonzalez, but Gonzalez with a subpar 2016, yes, the winner of Kovalev Ward could be pound 1.
Okay. Final question I'll give to Donnie. Now, Donnie actually made quite a good comments on that during the week when we were chatting on Twitter, etc. Final Bell asks Donnie, what do you think of main event's move with Glasgow and the IBF situation? They wasted no time in attempting to break up the belts and dilute the heavyweight division.
Well, I mean, first of all, you have to understand that main events promotes Glasgow. They're going to do what is best for their fighter. He has a mandatory shot at the IBF heavyweight title. Now, the Furies could have a choice between paying him step-aside money so that he could fight a rematch with Vlad, which he is contractually obligated to give Vlad if he wants it. That's the agreement they made, and he could do that. And now, Kathy Duva said, we're not interested in any step-aside money. Fair enough. But the real question is, you say you're not interested in step-aside money, but and Kurt would appreciate this reference, like the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase once said, everybody's got a price. Surely if they gave him some amount of money, they would be interested, I would presume. I think that what she was saying is that whatever they would normally consider paying in step-aside money, they wouldn't consider. And you have to understand that because they know that even if, let's say, Tyson Fury paid them $1 million, right, for it to step aside, that IBF title is going to be worth probably more than $1 million, so that when everything shakes out at heavyweight, when somebody wants to unify with Glaskov, they're going to be coming at a guy who is, at least officially speaking, classed as a champion. And
That
you can
offends me.
understand why they're doing what they're doing, and you can't. I mean, it's unfortunate. Like, you wish that, like, reason and, like, sort of the fans' mentality would prevail, where you would say, well, everybody realizes that Tyson Fury has this contractual obligation to give Ladd the rematch. Can't you just put the IBF mandatory shot on hold, and then whoever wins the rematch, then the IBF mandatory will be the next guy? I mean, that's what logic and reason would tell us. But like a lot of people have said, the IBF are following the rules. I mean, there's not. I mean, it's a situation where everyone's just trying to do what's best for their own fighter. I think it's really hard to fault anyone. I think that just the fans lose, because I think that boxing overall has benefited when there's clearly one champion, and at this point in time there is, and that's Tyson Fury.
Okay. That wraps up the Twitter questions, and it's on to Belly of the Week. Now, I've only got 4 nominations this week. It's been very light, so maybe we should or could vacate the title this week, but I'll read out the nominations I've got so far and then ask the guys for anything that they've got, and we'll make a general consensus. First one comes in via Grumpy Yid. Now, I've still to watch this, guys. I've got it downloaded, but he's nominating Johnny Nelson's entire participation in The Gloves Are Off for Belly of the Week. Anybody seen this? Is it pretty horrific?
I thought it was crap, to be honest. I said in the week, I thought the Fury one was crap as well. And there's one this week with Eubank Jr. and O'Sullivan, apparently.
It's a blatant HBO face-off rip-off, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Johnny Nelson, he did find it hard work, but I'm not going to hate on him for it, because Joshua was very straight-faced, didn't really offer much, to be honest.
He was doing his Joe Lewis again, was he?
It was, well, I don't know what he was doing.
Joe Lewis basically means he was subservient to the white man.
He looked like, Joshua looked like he'd been told to, keep quiet, keep a straight face, and he did. Dylan White was saying some outlandish things, and that's why Johnny was questioning him. But when Johnny said, okay, you're saying that Joshua's fake, why? He didn't really have any substance to go with that Joshua's fake, or Joshua is this, or Joshua is that. I'm not really enjoying him at the minute.
So was Johnny, did he have to be surgically removed from Joshua's arse then?
No, I don't think it was a
that's
case.
What I read, but...
No, I don't think it was a case of being up Joshua's arse. I think it was a case of questioning Dylan and trying to get Dylan to put some more meat on the bones.
Fair enough.
Okay. Ben Walker of the UKIP Party, United Kingdom Independence Party, he has weighed in with his expertise, his wealth of boxing knowledge. He's got involved in this kind of Twitter spark with Tyson Fury, saying, Tyson Fury, if you can beat Anthony Joshua, then you might deserve a little credit. Hashtag never in a month of Sundays.
Brilliant.
Fucking. That's horrific, eh? I found this one today, actually. I was listening to Sky Sports News, which I get for free nowadays. For any user that's fucking questioned me that I didn't cancel my Sky Sports subscription, you get Sky Sports News for free, sort of. Says Eddie Hearn says Joshua against White is the biggest UK fight this year. Wow. And this one comes in via thanks to Titchler. He says Belly of the Week is for everyone that signed a petition against Tyson Fury to a broadcaster that was complicit in his employees abusing children and dragging corpses, aka the BBC. And that is the 4 that I've got this week, guys. So,
I got some good nominations.
Right.
Ready?
Uh-huh.
Okay, my favorite one of all, Deontay Wilder. He says, and I quote, I don't understand how Anthony Joshua got this number 2 ranking with the WBC. Who has he fought? And it's like, dude, before you fought fucking Stavern from the title, you fought like, I mean, the shittiest. I mean, his fucking.
But he fought 32 of them. Fuck you.
Oh my God, his record before that was so atrocious. And it's like how is that the pot not calling the kettle black? My God. All right. Anyways, so yeah, Deontay Wilder saying, I question how Anthony Joshua got his number 2 ranking with the WBC. That, to me, that's classic. And then the other one was, and this is a recent one. If you actually go on Boxing Scene, it's a recent headline. Apparently, and I quote, Tyson Fury said to all of his critics, "They can suck my balls."
Nice.
I'm going to read this quote. The Gypsy King branded 50,000 people who signed a petition for him to be booted off the BBC Sports Personality of the Year award shortlist. He classified them as, quote, wankers. The newly crowned fighter told IFL TV that these critics can suck his balls. I'm really not interested, to be honest. They can say what they want about me, but they can't knock my achievement. I beat the man nobody can beat. I'm Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, champion of the world. Enough said, and the critics can suck my balls.
Fuck that, man. That's a great thing he said. He's like the Eric Cartman of boxing.
Yeah, but do we give him Bill of the Week for speaking the truth? Any other nominations, Donnie?
That's it. That's all I got.
Matty?
I got nothing, man.
Okay, Alex.
I can't follow that.
I got one quick one. Jerry Cooney actually. He tweeted earlier. I think it was this week, maybe last night. He's got a picture of himself, and he goes, "With the undisputed heavyweight champ of the world." There's a picture of him with Deontay Wilder.
Steve.
What was Alex's one? It broke up a bit there. Sorry.
Jerry Cooney.
Jerry Cooney tweeted in. He says it's a picture of himself. He goes, "With the undisputed heavyweight champ of the world," and he's standing next to Deontay Wilder.
That's a good one. I'm going to put one forward. It's a bit boring compared to some of the others. Now, actually, there's been some funny ones this week, but I know that a lot of people are big fan of Richie Woodall, but I heard him a couple of.
Steve, you might say that again, mate. You broke up briefly there.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, mate. Just might start that again. You broke up.
Yes, I was going to nominate Richie Woodall.
Right.
A couple of offences on Saturday night. First of all, he was going with the usual line of Lenny Daw Italy, so it was automatically a robbery. That was just when a standard that Lenny Daw was putting in there.
So you break it up again, Steve.
He couldn't understand how he'd got it all night. But that's a bit of a personal vendetta. Again, I'm not a big fan of him as a pundit. So
Andy, my only nomination is for the technology in the Steve Wellings household.
Right. Must be his laptop, because he's actually usually quite good with his sound. So the nominations are as follows: Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Jerry Cooney, Richie Woodall, Joey Nelson, Ben Walker, Eddie Hearn, and how many? 50,000 people? How was it? 500 people on that fucking?
50,000.
50,000 people on that petition. So, Adam, who gets your vote?
All the petition idiots.
50,000. This could be the biggest award ceremony in history, by the way. Donnie.
No, I do think that's disgraceful. I really do. Like, Tyson said, if you don't like it, change the channel. Tyson Fury's not. There's far worse things happened.
Wait, I forgot one other nomination that I think that might affect the voting, because it's related to the ones we've already done, but it was that guy, I don't know if he writes for the Daily Mail or whatever, but it was the guy who said, literally a couple of tweets apart, Tyson Fury is a disgrace, blah, 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 and then in a few tweets before, he's like, oh, I was just with my hero, Mike Tyson.
Oliver Holt.
Yeah.
He got
it last week.
Last week he got nominated.
Oh, okay, that was last week. Okay, sorry. All right, never mind.
He deserves.
Okay, no, my vote has to go to Deontay Wilder, because I just thought that was the best, man. And he's like, how did he get this ranking? He's so undeserving. He hasn't fought anybody. Yeah, I mean, just like completely delusional. I think that really embodies the spirit of Value of the Week, and for that reason, Deontay Wilder is my vote.
Okay, Matty.
The petition people, fuck them.
Alex.
I've got to go with Deontay. I think that's classic Value of the Week, like Donnie said. That's just absolute fucking idiocy.
Yeah, it's right up there. It really is right up there. To be honest, I don't think we've got Steve. I think he's just going to try his computer again. So the deciding vote comes down to myself,
You.
and I've got to say, I've got to agree with Donnie and Alex that it goes to Deontay Wilder.
Boo.
So let me get this up. There we go. Well done, Deontay. Congratulations. You talked some amount of trash. Right, fight reviews for next week, and it's stacked actually. We should say, the want of a better word. But
Stacked like that gal in your picture.
yep. And I've actually got one question come in for John Evans, which is going to relate to the Sky card. So what we'll do is, I think the Sky card is basically the main card for discussion anyway, just looking through it. So I'll very briefly run through the main shows or the main fights that are going to be happening next week before we do get into the Sky card. Tomorrow sees Amnit Runrong face off against Mang Hong Lee for the IBF flyweight title. Friday night sees Nonito Donaire face off against Cesar Juarez in Puerto Rico, and Felix Verdejo makes return to action after hand surgery. We've got a big card on Saturday coming from Denmark. It sees its class is Und Blod, which is basically meaning bad blood in Danish. Patrick Nielsen against Rudy Markinson. And quite a few of the top Scandinavian fighters on that card also sees Dennis Sheelan, Abdul Khattab, and Mickey Nielsen, and Tim Robin Luhig from Norway will be on that card. Saturday also sees Roy Jones against Enzo Maccarinelli, who you all have heard speaking to us for very briefly at the top of the show. In Ukraine, Saturday night sees Alexander Usyk back in action against Pedro Rodriguez. And from America, it sees a big, massive NBC card which got Omar Figueroa against Antonio DeMarco. We've got Dominic Bruzuela, Chris Areola, Tyrell Gaucher. Victor Ortiz is back in action also in that card, so it's a pretty busy card actually, but nothing that's really... I mean, that Bruzuela is actually pretty much poor. So, it comes into next Saturday's card. Pay-per-view, baby. Eddie Hearn, in association with Matchroom Sports, matchmaker Neil Bowers, presents to you Bad Blood. Okay, we've got Anthony Joshua against Dillian White, Kevin Mitchell against Ismael Barroso, Tony Bellew against Mateusz Masternak, Luke Campbell against Ivan Mende, Gianluca Branco against Paulie Malignaggi, Josh Warrington against Jorge Sanchez, and Chris Eubank against Gary O'Sullivan.
I hear the Bad Blood card is also brought to you by Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, aye, bad aids.
I thought it was Tampax.
I've got a question here for John Evans. John Evans is asking, I'd like a prediction on the total number of rounds screened on the pay-per-view. So I'm assuming we're going to get all these fights I've just mentioned here. So you're going to take Warrington. There's 10 rounds straight away, okay?
I don't think that'll be on there. I don't reckon that'll be on the pay-per-view.
So have we got a list of what's on the pay-per-view, no?
No, I haven't got a full list, obviously, but I mean,
well,
that's a lot of fights, isn't there? I mean, fuck me.
That's a lot of fights. So you've got Warrington, there's 10 rounds. Malignaggi, there's 12 rounds, so that's 22. Campbell against Mendy, I don't know much about Mendy, I need to go and check him out. But Bellew against Masternak, potentially, there's another 12 rounds. What's that, 34? Mitchell against Barroso, I don't expect that one to go the distance, actually.
I think done in about 6 for either man.
Yeah, so I think either man can get a stoppage in that fight there. So, what are you thinking? Total number of rounds, we'll go for, say, plus 40 or minus, what do you think?
40 sounds alright. I mean, Joshua, I expect in the first 2 or 3, being generous. Campbell, Mendy, I think maybe, again, I don't know too much about Mendy, but he's obviously not up to scratch to Luke. But I think Kev, Mitchell and Barroso should probably be about 6. Seems like that sort of fight.
Can I just ask a quick question? Maybe I haven't watched enough Dillian White. Do we have any reason to believe that his chin is anything but solid?
I can't think of anything now, to be honest. I mean, he's never really fought.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever... I mean, I've watched a few of his fights.
He's built, isn't he?
I don't think I've ever seen him hurt. I'm just curious, if he can take Joshua's punch, if he can take it, I think that fight could go... I don't know if it can go the distance, per se, but, I mean, it could go a while. I'm just curious.
Well, I hope that's the case. I mean, it'd be obviously very disappointing to see just yet another 1 or 2 round blowout for Joshua where he learns absolutely fucking nothing. But, hopefully Dillian can take a shot and really put it on him.
Oh, that's what you want to see. You want to see him extended a little bit, but to be honest, I know White was getting a lot of shit for some of the comments he made in this face-off series thing or what it was called, but then people seem to forget that he was actually, he was classed as a truth, came for, for speaking his mind after Joshua's last fight and stuff. Oh, he's talking a lot of sense and stuff like that. But I don't think he's a man to take Joshua rounds. I just think I'm also agreeing with Donnie in sort of way. Can he take Joshua's power? I don't know. That is the honest question. I really don't know if he can. Will Joshua come out basically look to just basically blast him out of there early doors? I think he will actually. I think he's out here to settle a score and that's it.
Can I just add as well? It's not a question of can they take Joshua's power, because with Joshua's reputation and the hype and the British refereeing, you could Dillian White and any heavyweight against Joshua at the moment could get stopped on their feet. That's the kind of world that we live in, unfortunately.
Matty, I know you've not got really much of a vested interest in this, but unfortunately we do. But you anything at all you looking forward to next week in this card or anything whatsoever, worldwide? Yeah, I thought that.
I think what's kind of cool for me, what sucks is because now I have a fucking job where I got to work on goddamn Saturdays, so I'm gonna get home like 4 o'clock my time. But since those other fights are going to last pretty long, I think I have a chance to see the Joshua White fight. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing those two guys go at it. I think that's interesting. And
did someone say this is on Showtime next week? Is that right?
Isn't Saunders? I think they're having Saunders against Lee. Is that on?
Oh, is that the one? Sorry.
Is that this Saturday coming up?
That's
Oh, it's 19th.
After.
No, the 19th.
Yeah, Showtime has that fight because what they're trying to do is
we already discussed it.
Jacobs is starved for opponents, and they're going to try to set up. And there's going to be a race between Golovkin and, assuming that Golovkin-Canelo doesn't get made for May, probably gets made for September. Golovkin's going to probably want to fight Turiano Johnson in February, and he's probably going to want to fight somebody in the summer, and so they're going to compete and race for the opportunity to fight the winner of Lee versus Saunders. And I think Showtime very much wants to set Showtime in accordance with Al Heyman wants to set up Jacobs versus the winner of that fight.
Yeah.
So that's why they're airing it. That's why they're airing it. And I think that White versus Joshua is getting shown on AWE over here, which is a very small channel that isn't carried by a lot of network or carried by a lot of cable providers, but some people will have TV access to it.
Adam, what about yourself, mate? What you looking forward to in this card? Kevin Mitchell getting back into action. Chris Eubank, Gary O'Sullivan. Not my fault.
I'm actually most looking forward to the Eubank fight. Yeah, I've said that for a while. Not that I think that Spike can win, to be fair, and I know his record is unproven. Well, both of them possibly are. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that. That's what I'm looking forward to. I've become a little bit disillusioned, to be honest. The pay-per-view is dross. It's not justified whatsoever. We discussed it in the midweek pod. I won't go over it again. I will not be paying to watch it. I'm not even tuning in next week. I'll probably look on Twitter. I'll try and watch the Eubank fight. I'll try and watch the 5 or so minutes that the Joshua fight will last. But not interested in Tony Bellew. Not interested in Josh Warrington. Luke Campbell deserves better. It's a pretty limp end to the year, and hopefully Mr. Warren on the 19th. Hopefully that show can deliver, because that is an excellent show. Yeah, I tell you what, if that December the 19th show was on Sky, forget Warren. If that was on Sky, that would be £25 pay-per-view. That was, or 2 pay-per-views.
Okay. Well, how the hell did Malak Nagy Branco end up in this card, man? Jesus Christ! You got a guy. This guy Branco must be, what is he? 45, 46 year old. You got Malak Nagy, who's got fucking hand like a feather duster.
He is the EU champion, isn't he? Branco?
European
by hook or by crook, yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Well, I was going to bring that up actually in Bellew of the Week. Sky making yet again more mistakes on their website. Branco has been the European champion for like 4 years or something, and he hasn't, because fucking what's his face? Yet another ancient man. Guy who beat Frankie Gavin.
Oh,
Bundu,
yeah, he's been European champion for several years. and then he gave that belt up, I think, to fight Furman or something, and then Branko picked it up, a vacant title again against some fucking nobody, and now for some reason Paulie's fighting for it. I mean, when people talking about the Bronco fight about 10 years ago for Paulie, wasn't that some sort of like relevant fight for him when he was like around the time he was fighting Cotto and things like that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a joke of a fight, but people are bumming it because for some reason, Sky and Matchroom Casual seem to think Paulie's the fucking. I don't know.
Legend.
He seem to fucking be right up his ass, and I don't know why, because he's a wanker.
Well, I know Adam says he's not looking forward to Bellew Master, and I'm actually, it's one of the Bellew fights I'm actually looking forward to, actually, because I do think it might be a decent enough wee scrap.
I mean, it might be, but I just struggle to look forward to Bellew fights because he talks all the talk and then doesn't deliver. He's a boring fighter.
Well, he hasn't really
Yeah.
talked much going into this fight, has he?
Well, it just generally all the time.
He's not
Yeah.
the focus in
Yeah.
this card, though, is he? I mean, he's playing what, third or fourth fiddle to fucking obviously Eubank and AJ, and even the Kevin Mitchell fight's probably more important than his. But Bellew, he's shown us that he's fucking boring at cruiserweight, just as he was for the majority of his career at light heavyweight. Maybe Mastak will put it on him a bit, and force him to have a bit of a fight back. But it's going to be a 12-round stinker, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to add, guys? I think we've pretty much run our course this week. Shorter show than the last week, but what can you do?
You can always do a bigger preview during the week of some
Yeah.
of the fights.
Yeah, 'cause I'm actually in agony sitting here with my back, actually. So, that being the case, I'd like to thank the panel. I'd like to thank Adam Smith, Donny Baseball, Matty D, Steve Wellens, and Alex Morris. I've been your host, Andy Patterson. We'll maybe be back during the week with some news shows, maybe some breakdown recaps or whatever of the fights coming up Saturday. Listen to us back on YouTube and stuff if you want to hear. Listen to us back on iTunes if you want to hear the Enzo McAnally interview. It's very, very brief because he was very, very busy.
Or Tumblr.
Or Tumblr as well. So have a good week. We'll see you next week. All the best.